Hi everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. And well, the death of Jamil Sarum has been confirmed, so the live events are in full swing. And honestly, I did not expect this specifically to happen. So for me, it was unexpected, and I don't really know where the story is going to go from here. Obviously, Jamil Sarum is a capsuleer, so she could come back in some fashion. What are the drifters really after? Was it after the AI that was actually inside Jamil Sarum? What about that? Where has that one gone? Are they still alive? What's going to happen next? How do the drifter invasions into Amar space work? What's the reasoning behind that? All of that is now a big unknown. So I actually think that CCP did a pretty good job to blow the story wide open by killing off the Titan and the pot of Jamil Sarum. So now it's really, well, all bets are off. We don't really know what's going to happen next. Of course, if you're here for the market. So let's jump right in with the bad news at 120. Here are the plex. Let's go for the quick bar and then plex, which unfortunately are going for more than 1 billion ISK on the seller side. So it seems to be in a sustained fashion as well. I mean, all of the sellers are well above that. Buyers have gone to 990 million as well. That's pretty high, with only a 12 to 13 million gap here, which is pretty much normal. If we go for the chart here, you can see last week we went down, we tried to go back down again. Unfortunately, the market scooped all of that right back up, and so now we're actually above 1 billion for the sellers. That's already starting to be quite a bit of ISK to make in a month just to keep your account going. It does mean that there's a lot of demand for that, and honestly, I'm wondering, with all the skins that CCP is bringing out now, every 2 weeks they're planning to bring out new skins to the skin market. That could possibly have a pretty big effect on the plex market, I think. So it's definitely a plex sink, because you need Aurum usually, I think, to buy those skins, and with new ones coming out every 2 weeks. Personally, I would like to see some actual numbers. So if CCP would come out and say, yeah, it's a great success, that's why we're putting so many new skins out, then that would be really good news for CCP, of course, but pretty bad news for people that want to plex their accounts, because the impact here, it's pretty big. I don't think I've ever seen plex on a sustained fashion, and look at that. The 1 billion 3 million, that one's already scooped up. It's 1 billion and 5 million already in just those 20 seconds of me talking. So it's buying fever at the moment in plexes. Will this last? I don't know, but honestly, the plex market has shown itself to be quite resilient, even at these higher prices. So yeah, the buy opportunity at 800 million, it was actually an opportunity to sink all your ISK in that, and you could probably sell them all at 20% profit right now. So not good news for people that want to keep their accounts going only on plex. But if you want ISK, well, then that's becoming cheaper and cheaper at the moment. Here's the multiple pilot trading certificate. Let's see what those prices are doing. 995 million. That one was above 1 billion last week, but it's right in the same price range as the plex itself, of course. And you can see this after this small anomalous dip here, which was due to probably a mistake in one of the sales. We're pretty much following the pattern of plex for the multiple pilot trading certificate. And here's the body risk up, which is now also taking off. So we'll have to see if this is actually another spike, just like here, the double spike here, and a spike here. If it's another spike, then it's definitely just its own little market, nothing special to report. If it keeps going up and starts to break out together with plex, there may still be some correlation to see, but it's very hard to tell at the moment, honestly. It does look to me like the pilot's body resculpt is just completely detached from the plex markets. Alright, let's move on to minerals then. That will be 440, and you could already have seen from the bottom ticker there that Tritanium did go up in price, and definitely is breaking out of the 5.2 price band, which had been hovering around for quite a while. It actually dipped very close to 5.10, but then it works its way back up. But this looks to me like a bit more serious. This is definitely breaking out of the comfort zone. So we'll have to see if titanium actually starts to go up. Again, I do think that some preparation due to the new structures could be a major factor at the moment in the mineral market. So titanium is selling for 539. Buyers had to follow suit at 532 already, or are following suit. So there is quite some competition to buy the titanium at the moment. And there is decent supply too as well. So 1.1 billion right here, another 400 million or 300 million. There is decent supply, and if you see that, but the price does go up, I do think that something more can be going on than just a reaction to lower prices here. Let's see what pyrite is doing. That one is not following the same pattern as titanium. It knew a bit of a breakout like last week or maybe 10 days ago, but that has settled down and is back towards the 10.8 ISK price point, which I would say is pretty much an average as to where pyrite has settled. And here is supply. That's pretty healthy. Most of this front page is less than a day old, and demand here pretty healthy as well. I would say 75% of this front page is new as well. So that's looking like an okay market that's going to be able to sustain itself. Next up here we've got Mexalon. I didn't want to show Mexi just yet, and that's another breakout quite clearly. We're settling at 50 ISK. That's pretty high all of a sudden, coming from 42. That's not bad, but yeah, sellers just below 50 ISK, buyers just below 50 ISK as well. No margin there whatsoever. It does look like Mexalon knew a bit of a breakout, which for me personally is pretty good. I actually bought some Mexalon right here at the lower prices, so that's looking quite okay. We'll have to see if Mexalon stays here, and I'm really curious to see if Isogen is doing the same. Yep, Isogen is also going up from a bottom of 100 ISK. It's now heading towards 115, 113.44 for the sellers, 111 for the buyers. So again, very small margin. The buyers do have to follow suit, or may even be the drivers behind these increases in price of the high-ISK minerals. I think next week is actually going to be pretty important. We have a new patch. If we get more on the citadels and the new structures, which I honestly think is a major driver behind all of this, I will have to see if pyrite is also doing a bit of a breakout, and if the others can sustain it, then we could be in for increased prices and increased profits for high-ISK miners. So honestly, that would not be such a bad thing. At the moment, if I'm mining, I'm getting around 5 million for a full Mackinac, and seeing that go up a little bit I think would be pretty good. Let's take a look then at Noxium, which is like an in-between mineral. It's always hard to tell if that's behaving like a high-ISK or a null-ISK mineral, but it's also coming out of its slump. Unfortunately, it does have to come from quite a bit further. You can see that it's been going down pretty much non-stop for 4 to 5 months, with a bottom I would say close to 470, and now we are looking at 500 ISK for the sellers and still 468 for the buyers. So that gap remains here. Noxium is a bit of an anomaly. It behaves a little bit differently, I think, because its supply sources come from all over New Eden, and so we've got a bigger margin, almost 30 ISK. So closing in on 7 to 8% margin, which is actually pretty large, and the gap here between 5-day and 20-day moving averages could actually be closing after this, honestly, considering the margin. So be a bit careful when it comes to Noxium. I tried to pick some up at very cheap prices, I think 420, something like that. That did not work out, so this may be the actual bottom, but Noxium is not behaving like the other high-ISK minerals at the moment. And then here we've got Zydrine. I think that's gonna please a lot of people, especially me. I want to get a bigger stock of the null-ISK minerals ready for when I do go after one of those citadels, and that one is finally dropping from 1600. Now we are already at 1200 for Zydrine. So 1213, 1214 for the sellers, 1193 for the buyers. Again, pretty small gap, big supply. Look at that. All of this is less than a day old. In fact, less than 5 or 6 hours old even. And so it seems like people are actually dumping their Zydrine stocks at the moment, and it's the same with Megasite. This is clearly a serious correction, which comes actually as a bit of a surprise, because I don't really see any major triggers for this except for the calmness that exists in Nulsic at the moment. It could be that the Imperium, the biggest group in Nulsic at the moment, is saying, okay, we took our profits for these high Megasite and Zydrine prices, we're now actually going to dump our stocks and bring the price down. But for people that are buying minerals at the moment, for me this is really good to see. I'm definitely going to put up some Megasite and Zydrine buy orders. What's also funny is that I think we are now below 1400 for Megasite right here, so you could say that well, let me see here, maybe 1.5 centimeters in we were close to 1500, and here we have Zydrine, which was at 1400, so very close between Zydrine and Megasite in price actually, with Megasite dropping from 2400 to 1400. That's a really big drop all of a sudden, and Zydrine dropping from 1600 to 1200. So either Zydrine has a lot of catching up to do and could correct quite a bit more. I think that's definitely a possibility. Or there was something completely out of whack, or there is something completely out of whack at the moment, because considering the big correction in Megasite already and the timid correction in Zydrine, there is still something that doesn't feel balanced when it comes to the prices of both of these, considering we were looking at 15 to 1600 Zydrine and we were looking at 2200 to 2400 in Megasite. So the price difference has closed so much that something is still going to have to give. What's it going to be? That's hard to say, but considering the momentum, I think Zydrine, God damn it, is in for quite a bit of a correction at the moment. So a very interesting situation. I did not expect this volatility over the summer, but here it is, volatility in the mineral market. Next up, we've got Morphite. I'll quickly touch on that, but that seems to be able to sustain itself at 12,000 ISK without any real problems, so nothing too special to report there. The other ones are quite a bit more interesting. Next up, Take One Chips, which would be 1205. And let's start here with the Apocalypse, dropping down a little bit, but still, well, dropping below 174. So I would say dropping just below the average again, which is good to recreate an average of 175 for the Apocalypse. So nothing drastic or no real trends here to report except stability. Here's the Caracal then, finding its price of 11 million. Honestly, if I maybe go for the 1 year chart, before this I would have put the average at 10.5. We're now settling close to 11, so a little bit higher price is possible just because of how popular it is. It did get a remodel as well, and the Caracal is a doctrine fleet in a lot of the bigger alliances because it's very useful, very accessible as well skill wise. So I think that's why we're settling at a little bit of a higher price for the Caracal. Here's the Dominix then, going up a little bit towards 200 million, but you can see here that we broke out from 195. I would consider that the normal price, above 200 million, and then the supply response is here, so we've got the correction here. We've got 59 of them coming in, and let me see, all of this is actually new supply, so 60 to 70 new Dominix is coming in. That's pretty much a day's supply already in the last day, so there is some supply competition because of these higher prices causing this to correct back. I would not be surprised if pretty soon we'll break the 20-day moving average again and settle close to 195. Here's the Myrmidon then. That one knew quite a bit of volatility, but we are settling at 53 million here at the moment, coming from a dip of 51. So again, maybe the new price for Myrmidon is slightly higher, 1-2 million higher than like 6 months ago. But overall, this is still looking like a pretty healthy situation. Here's the Oracle then. That one is seeing some volatility at the moment. You know, dips up to 75 million, tops at 81. That's, well, starting to be a decent percentage, and it's actually continuing to know this wavy pattern. So here again we are at a high at 81 million. It'll be interesting to see if next week we'll keep correcting and over correcting back to the 75 million, 76 million mark, or are we finally going to settle back at the normal price, maybe 78 to 79 million, something like that. The Oracle here, yeah, a little bit of volatility, so that's interesting. Next up, the Stabber here, after a very stable period, dropping down a little bit to 10.4 million, so maybe a little bit of oversupply in the works at the moment. Yeah, still 41 of them coming in. It could be just a little bit much. There are not that many buyers. If it keeps going down, I'm pretty sure that someone is gonna move in, because Stabber fleets are a thing as well, and so then we'll probably know a little bit of a spike. It is possible. Still, I'm always wary in the Tech 1 market. The percentages are not as high as the Tech 2 market, so I would not consider this a trade opportunity or anything like that. Just keep an eye on it. I do suspect that if we keep going down, we'll see a buyout by an alliance, and then the price will actually move up, and that could actually be a sell opportunity if you have production capability of Stabbers. Next up, the Tornado here. That one is doing quite a bit better than the Oracle, quite a bit more stable, around the 73 million mark. We're a bit below that again, but as you can see, we always did come back towards 73, so I'm not expecting this to actually drop any further. Here's the Vexor then, also on a bit of a drop, but sitting around the 11.2, 11.4 million mark. This is all pretty much healthy and normal market variation. Next up, the Tech 2 market. Let's see if there's actually some trade opportunity here. That's at 16 minutes, making up a bit of time here on the Tech 1 chips. But here is the Basilisk, dropping to its low of 175 and clearly halting that descent. So this could be interesting if you see the supply dropping or drying up, and as you can see, nothing that's less than a day ago. You could try to pick some up at close to the buy orders or in between the buy orders and the sell orders, and you are probably going to have an opportunity to sell those at a better price if this becomes another trigger, which it was right here. So I think this is interesting for a buy opportunity for the Basilisk. Next up, the Guardian here. That's unfortunately not as volatile as I would like to see it. I would like to see that at least 2 or maybe even 2.5 times bigger on the upswing here. So it's working on another uptick, but I would not say that this is either a buy or a sell opportunity. Unfortunately, I'd like to see it either go way lower towards the 120 mark, so I can say, yeah, this is definitely a buy opportunity, or way higher, and then we know that the Guardian is back in volatile territory. Just not happening at the moment. Here's the Hunt chart. Okay, I think you could have bought them for below 16 million last week. Now they are selling for 17.5 million. It's a little bit low of a move up, but at least it shows that the market is still somewhat alive. Still here, I would maybe sell if you have some profits in it, or wait it out and wait for a good buy opportunity. Here's the Manticore then. That was a lovely spike up from just like 21.5 million, something like that, up to 26, almost 27 on some data points. Now it's settling in between them, so we'll have to wait for another buy opportunity or sell opportunity. It's just not there at the moment. Here's the Nemesis. That's starting to be a bit more interesting, dropping down to 18.5 on the chart, 17.6 for the buyers. If you can buy close to that, I think that's actually not a bad deal. 17.6 is right here. Anything below 18 million is bound to be a pretty good price for a Nemesis, and you can see here 18 million was a pretty big trigger for some volatility. So I think in the Nemesis there is an opportunity that is starting to form. Here's the Oneros then. Unfortunately, that one is over as well. You could have bought them close to 135, triggered up to 155. That's pretty decent, but now it's all slowing down a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. The Oneros, I wouldn't make a move here yet either. And here's the Purifier, triggered at 17 million. You could have probably bought them for 16 million, something like that, on buy orders, and it's working on its spike towards 19 million. Not bad. That's definitely some profit that could have been made. If you made a move here, I think it's time to look at selling your Purifiers. And then here is the Scimitar, also finally dropping down a little bit, but I would like to see it drop even more. Definitely need the chart to be below 130, close to 120, 125, something like that, before I would say, yeah, you could actually buy some Scimitars here and probably sell them for a profit. So it's a difficult market to time, of course, this Tech 2 market, but I am seeing some patterns, and something like the Nemesis is starting to look quite a bit more interesting. And if here we've got the Tech 3 market next, 1930 for that. Let's see if some of these are alive. We definitely know that the Tengu made a bit of a move up, but here's the Confessor settling at 40 million. So maybe coming in line with some of the other ones with a bit more of a realistic production. I don't know. Why were they selling at 34 for so long then? Could just be that people were I've created way too big of stocks of Confessors, and so that they're dumping them now or something like that. Still, you can see that supply is very much alive. 68, 24, 20, that's another 110 coming in less than a day old. And so yeah, there is overproduction in the Tech 3 market at the moment. Here's the Hecate then, settling at around 40 million, pretty much the same price as the Confessor at the moment. Here's the Jackdaw then, pretty similar, also settling at 40 million. That seems to be where the market wants these Tech 3 destroyers to find their price. Here is the Legion then. Unfortunately, it knew a bit of a spike up, but as I've said, supply tends to quickly snuff those out. And here we've got 10, 38, 8, another 3, another 5 here. There is just too much supply, and so we've got the 5-day moving average crossing 20-day moving average. I would not be surprised if we settle close to 145. Here's the Loki then. That one, after dropping well below 145, finally does a bit of a move up. So someone bought quite a few Lokis. New supply here, not that much anymore. So I actually think that for next week we'll see a big bump up in supply for the Loki, which are selling for 153, something like that. And then this will actually make a move back down. It's pretty much inevitable here because of the overproduction situation. Next up here we've got the Proteus, also very similar pattern, touching 145, going up to 165, but now again working its way back down, and the supply is still here, 10, 40, 16, 15, all of that needs to be bought out. So we'll probably go a little bit lower, and then we could see another small spike in the Proteus that will again be filled quite quickly. Here's the Zwepel also jumping up to 44 million. So yeah, a little bit of activity here, possibly a Zwepel fleet that was bought, but the supply response is quite fast and quite drastic. 12, 24, 50, 26, 17, 129 less than 2 hours ago, and then another 20 is actually the latest sell order. So anytime something like that happens in the Tech 3 market, it gets crushed by supply, and thus I think we'll settle close to 40 million, I think, bringing all of the Tech 3 destroyers in line with one another. Here's the Tengu finally. It's trying to move its way up, but it's really coming from again a very low point below 150, and so I actually think that this again will not last very long. You're already seeing 20, 41, 20 of them coming in. The competition on the seller side here is pretty obvious. So yeah, unfortunately I think all of this, whenever you see it go up, it will go down quite quickly, and it's very difficult to time when a big player is actually going to make a move on any of these Tech 3 ships, especially now that there's 8 of them. And then finally for the extra product this week, 2250, I'm going to check on the fuels. I want to have a quick look at what's happening here. This is pretty much a personal interest. So here is the MR fuel blocks. The trend over 6 months clearly up from 14.5 to 16,000 ISK. Quite a bit of spiky behaviors, quite a bit of volatility in the fuel market. You could have seen that from the ticker on Caldari fuel blocks from time to time, but here it does seem to be calming down and settling down at 16,000 ISK. So could there be a little bit of like stability of calming down in the activity in EVE Online, thus causing MR fuel blocks to settle down a little bit as well? I think it is actually possible. Let's take a look at the Caldari fuel blocks. Not as pronounced in its volatility, and actually knew a bottom 3 months ago below 15,000, now working its way up at 17,000 ISK at the moment. So okay, again, definitely we are at higher prices for fuel blocks here. Is volatility dying down? We did just come from 16.5 to 17.5k, coming back down a little bit, going back up again. But if we stay closer in this range now of 17 to 17.5, we could see some stability form here. Here's the Galente market. again, quite a bit of volatility. Here we have a bottom at probably 14.2k, then here touching 14.5k, jumping up to 17k, back down again. So this is definitely very, very volatile, but we are settling at higher prices at the moment for fuel blocks, and I'm curious to see if we'll see some stability next. Here is the Minmatar fuel block, seemingly mirroring the Caldari pretty closely, except more volatility again. Bottoms at close to 13,500 and then jumping up, settling back down to 15,000, jumping up to 17,000, and now trying to settle between the 16,000 and 16,500. And again here you can see quite a bit less volatility at the tail end, so it is possible, I think, that the fuel blocks are coming into a bit of a more stable territory. Why all of this is happening, always hard to tell, but I personally think it's pretty interesting that we're settling at these pretty much high prices for the last 6 months. So yeah, keep an eye on the fuel blocks. If you have a post like us, this is something to keep in mind. I always try to buy at lower prices, but that was very hard to do at the moment with all the volatility. So fuel prices pretty high at the moment. Anyways, that's it for this Eve Talk then, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.